I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Monroe County Solid Waste District Board of Directors this Thursday, April 8th, 2021. We have a pretty limited agenda, but we have one item that is a housekeeping item that is not on the agenda. And if there are no objections, I would like to insert this as item 1A before we tackle the printed agenda. And here's Commissioner Jones.
Hi.
So I ask you unanimous consent to move forward with the additional housekeeping item. Seeing no objections, we will discuss this as a meeting arrangement for an executive session regarding the election of a person to serve as comptroller for the district. The executive committee met and interviewed candidates, and the executive committee is ready to make a recommendation to the full board. But the full board needs to meet in executive session. And then if we have a decision made in that executive session, we must follow that with a public meeting and have a vote on that appointment. So the hard thing here is getting us all together at the same day and time. And we have a proposal for you. And Mr. McGlasson, would you discuss the date and time?
I'm sorry, I was not aware that we had a specific date or time proposed. The information
I talked about. I thought we had talked about having it on April 29th, which is a Thursday.
That was for the joint meeting with the CAC. And we could certainly, if people are available, we could certainly do a quick executive session ahead of that public meeting. And then before the joint meeting were to start, right, the board could reconvene publicly if there's a decision that they wish to vote on.
I think that would be the most effective use of our time. Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yes, I'm a bit hesitant to wait that long. If, I mean, we're without a controller right now, it would be better to hire that person sooner rather than later if the individual is able to join us sooner. And the board agrees, of course.
And the board agrees, of course.
I thought we had talked about perhaps meeting towards the end of next week.
The end of next week would be the 22nd and 23rd. That'd be Thursday, Friday next week.
15th or 16th.
Oh, excuse me, 15th or 16th, yes. And that's definitely 2 weeks ahead of the 29th.
The 14th would be the earliest possible day that I could manage to meet advertising requirements for.
And I can't be available on the 16th.
Okay.
Would the 15th at 4 o'clock work, since that's a Thursday at 4? Maybe that is usually feasible for folks.
That's not for me because I have a meeting at that time.
What about at 5 o'clock that day?
I could do it at 5:30.
It works for me.
Other board members, does that work for you?
Yeah, on the 15th.
The 15th, that's
Okay.
Thursday, the 15th at 5:30.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. And Tom will get the advertising out and we'll get a Zoom link set up for us.
So
So we
our-
do so we do
Go
have
ahead.
a quorum of individuals, board members who can come.
It seems like it. So let's get a definite show of hands, like I can be there. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe John's
No,
non-committal. Okay, we've got 5. So,
Next week is not good for me overall, but that's fine.
Okay. So as long as we have us 5, we're gonna do good, and the other board members will entrust us to pick a good candidate. So thank you all. We'll see you after the meeting wraps up today in another week. Okay, so we're moving into our agenda. We have executive committee meeting minutes, which are included for your information. And then we have Board of Directors meeting minutes. May we have a motion regarding the minutes that we need to approve?
yes, I move approval of the Board of Director minutes from March 11th, 2021.
Second,
Thank you. Board members, do you have any comments or questions about the minutes?
I have a
Ms.
question.
Piedmont-Smith? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Munson, did we ever do a roll call to start the meeting? Do we usually do that?
We usually do, and we did not. But we have a motion on the floor. Let's finish
Yeah.
that and then we'll call the roll. So if there are no changes or questions on the minutes, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. McGlasson?
Munson,
Yes.
Githens,
yes,
Hamilton, Mr. Mayor, you're muted.
Yes,
Piedmont-Smith,
Yes,
Jones,
yes,
Swafford.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now, let's have the roll call by Mr. McGlasson, and we probably should just put this as an agenda item. Standard is number 1.
Okay,
Then it won't get forgotten.
we can do that. Hamilton,
here.
Jones,
here,
Githens,
here,
Swafford,
Here.
Thomas, Munson,
Here.
Piedmont-Smith.
here.
You have a quorum.
Very good. Next, we have the controller's report. And who is to present that today?
You're stuck with me today. So,
Mr. McGlasson, you're going to do duty on all these items.
I'm going to do my best. We gave Connie a vacation. So yeah, you have, and I hope everybody did get an email or attached to the claims that went out yesterday. We had an updated cash flow for the landfill trust fund. That statement was not available when the packet went out. So the current balances as of March 31st for the operating fund, $2,295,976.37. The closure debt, $7,741.16. Capital fund, $45,413.60. And the post-closure trust fund, $760,339.66. Additionally, I would also like to refer you to a couple of memos that are included in the middle of the the cash flow statements. The first regarding the operating fund. And with the previous discussions we've had on cash reserves, and although we don't really have a firm decision on a cash reserve policy or guidance, the executive committee did look at our balances and our budgets and made the determination that it would be appropriate to open a savings account and move $1 million out of the operating checking account into an interest-bearing savings account to at least have some of that money doing something for us, earning some interest. So that account was established and funded on April the 1st. So beginning next month, there'll be an additional cash flow statement regarding that savings account for the operating fund. The second memo is on page 18 of your packet, and in regards to landfill trust fund. The executive committee has met with Representative as portfolio manager Don Kraft from German American regarding that fund. And the decision was made that we'd be better served by having less cash equivalents and cash or cash equivalent investments in that fund. So German American has been instructed to reduce that amount down to as little as $50,000 and try to get that money and some investments that would provide a better return for us.
Mhm. So I would like to offer the comment to the other board members is that your executive committee looked at our numbers very carefully, and Mr. McGlasson presented us with the expenditures that have come up for the landfill over the historical expenditures. And this is how we determined that that $50,000 would be a comfortable investment and leave us with plenty of funding to use for any emergency. Are there any questions about the trust fund or the or the general fund cash reserves investment? I'm seeing no hands. Well, very good. I think this is a step that the members of the board have wanted to do for some time now, and this was certainly the right time to do it. So thank you. So next we have a presentation of payroll and claims.
You have in your packet pre-approved claims in the amount of $85,095.21. Should have received yesterday a claims packet for approval today in the amount of $87,103.08 for a total to be approved of $172,198.29.
So thank you. Do we have a motion for approval or?
Yes, I move approval of payroll and claims as presented in our packet, plus the additional information sent via email yesterday.
Second.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent motion. Are there questions from any of the board members regarding this? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I have a small item. There was a double payment of the sports water bottles for Edgewood.
That
And
previous one?
so I was looking for the credit to show up on one of our recent claims reports, and I did not see it. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, and I apologize that omission on staff's part. That check has been received and voided. So we did get the check payment returned, and the credit card payment was processed by the vendor.
So is that shown somewhere on the,
No, I guess I
Claims.
apologize. That an omission by staff. I guess unfortunately, Connie's out the rest of the week, but I will bring that to her attention Monday and we'll get proper documentation to the board to show that that's happened.
Good.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think it's hard when something is canceled rather than refunded. So, but good that we have that. Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions about payroll and claims? Seeing none, Mr. McGlasson will have a roll call vote, please.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes,
Jones,
yes,
Munson,
Yes,
Hamilton,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. Next on our agenda is resolution 2021-05 regarding employee benefits. Mr. McGlasson, would you present this, please?
would you like a
Certainly.
motion first?
Or wait a second. I would like to see a motion, and the whereases are pretty short, so I think it'd be nice to read those whereases,
Okay.
please.
I move resolution 2021-05, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District COVID-19 vaccination employee benefit. Whereas the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District is a political subdivision and a solid waste managed district under Indiana Code. Whereas, I think there's a pronoun missing here, whereas it recognizes the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its employees and the community at large. Whereas safe and effective vaccines are now available to help protect against COVID-19. Whereas effective March 31st, 2021, the state of Indiana provides that all Indiana residents 16 years of age and older are eligible to receive the vaccine. Whereas the district recognizes the benefits of its employees being vaccinated against COVID-19. And whereas the district wishes to provide an incentive to its employees to encourage them to receive the vaccine. Now, therefore, the district board of directors hereby resolves to provide a $100 financial benefit subject to applicable taxes to all district employees who become fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and provide the following documentation to the executive director before October 1st, 2021. A completed COVID-19 vaccination report card from an approved vaccination site recognized by the Indiana State Department of Health, or a vaccination certificate issued by the Indiana State Department of Health, Indiana Vaccination Portal.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
second,
Thank you. Mr. McGlasson, would you like to discuss any details?
I don't know about, I think the resolution is pretty self-explanatory. Just if the board will recall, at the last meeting, Mayor Hamilton informed the board that the city of Bloomington is providing a $100 benefit to its employees. They get the vaccination for COVID-19 and suggested that the district do the same. Thus, this resolution was drafted and is being presented to you and is modeled after the city's benefit.
Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Mr. McGlasson, could you review the possible fiscal impact of this resolution?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're $100 per employee. We currently have 27 employees, so if they all get that, $2,700, maybe with taxes and so forth, around the $3,000 mark. And then I would also bring to the board's attention that given all of the staffing changes that have occurred at South Walnut and with the current office manager controller situation, the district has in essence had a vacant position this entire year. So it should not be hard to find funds in the personnel services category to cover this benefit.
Thank you.
Very good. Other questions? Ms. Githens?
Yeah, I'd like to know from the mayor what percentage of the city employees have taken advantage of this.
Sure. The latest information I have is that about 130 people have completed their vaccination courses. They have to provide the full evidence of 2 weeks after the last vaccination they need, and about 130. So that's out of about 800 or so. I can't do the math in my head, but less than 20% so far. And I really appreciate the consideration of this. I do think it's really appropriate to, we're going to be working really hard to try to get as many people as we can to be vaccinated to deal with the pandemic. And it is absolutely good for our employees, and it's good for our community and our colleagues, the more people who get vaccinated. So I appreciate the consideration of this. I should note too, by the way, we reached out to our healthcare provider in the midst of this, and they agreed to cover half of it, actually, our insurance provider. So it's worth asking whether they might pony up a little bit to help, because it's good for them too to avoid the illnesses.
Absolutely.
So does that, Mr. Mayor, does the 130 include like the first responders, the firefighters, and the law
That's
enforcement?
everybody. That's everybody. Yeah.
Because they were able to get their vaccinations before the general population.
That's absolutely correct. We have, that's 200 people who are eligible right there from early on. And then gradually, as the age has changed and now open to everybody, we hope we'll see a lot of that. And we're doing what we can to educate and inform and encourage. And this is one part of that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that additional information and for bringing this up at our previous meeting, because I think it's a good thing for our community to have this. Any further discussion? We'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Swafford,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Munson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. I hope we have a good turnout for this. So next on our agenda is the solid waste management plan update.
Yeah, refer you to the memo included in the packet on page 34. And I mean, the CAC has continued their subcommittee meetings and making progress toward getting formal recommendations prepared for the board. Had a couple interactions meetings with some of the capstone class. The survey is moving forward. Did get some feedback on the draft from some board members. We appreciate that. The class has made efforts to incorporate the ideas and the questions from the board members into the survey. And I had some additional discussions about ways to promote, get people connected to the survey. A good idea that was brought up, you can see it in there in the memo. The class could develop a QR code that could be posted at our recycling centers, where the Green Camino drop-off locations that are elsewhere around the community, city and county buildings, if they're agreeable to it. But the QR code would give us the ability at minimal cost to put information about that survey out in multiple areas in the community, where people could just scan it with their phone and right there on their phone take the survey, which seems like that would be something that would be convenient and work out well. I've also got some, a first draft of the demographic study. And I think they did a really good job with the population estimates and waste generation estimates. I've asked them to go back and give us a little more detail on some of the demographic breakdown of the current population, and they're currently working on that. And then lastly, typo in there in the memo, April the 28th is a Wednesday. The joint meeting is actually Thursday, the 29th, April the 29th. And I believe the email I originally sent out about that, I put as, or I made reference to that meeting would use the same Zoom link as the board meetings. And that was what TSD and I had originally discussed. And when I got the link from them, our wires got crossed somewhere. And I think the link that's actually being used is the recurring link that the executive committee uses. But the link that's in that memo is correct. And obviously in advance of the meeting, reminders will be sent out, and we'll make sure that the correct link is provided to everybody that needs or wants to attend that meeting.
So any questions for Mr. McGlasson? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I was just curious about the QR code because it's easy to get one for free. So I don't know why we would be paying for it.
Well, the cost would not be to produce the QR code. The cost would be to reproduce it on flyers or, whatever media we're going to put it out in the community on.
Gotcha.
Mhm. So I hope we can have the county website and the city website also promote this survey.
Yes, have not inquired about that yet, but that's been discussed, and we'll certainly at the right time make those inquiries when we have the link available.
Good, thank you. Other questions from the board? Okay, well, thank you. Anything further, Mr. McGlasson, on the update?
No, ma'am.
Let's turn now then to the CAC report, which will certainly concern the update. And Mr. Joe Winia is president, is here with us on the Zoom.
Yes, I am. Is my audio functioning well?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Apologies, I am not able to be present via conventional video methods, so I'm joining you by audio right now. Forgive me if I miss any visual cues that are taking place, but fortunately, I don't have a lot to add. The major points of what's taken place are all present in the monthly report, and there were no subcommittee meetings following the production of that report. We are continuing through the discussion process via the Dropbox files, which now have a considerable amount of information in them from our exchanges, and as I said before, are all accessible to everyone on the board as well if you're interested in getting caught up on what's transpired. And lastly, I'd say we're perhaps a week behind the Gantt chart that was posted for completing all of the various categories that the subcommittees exist for, but are still looking generally good for making progress on plan. So with that, I will take questions if there are any.
Isabel Piedmont Smith, please.
Yeah, it's not a question. I wanted to thank Mr. Winia for these reports and for thank the whole CAC for their work. In particular, what caught my eye was the rebranding, discussing moving away from a tagline of Go Green District and more towards some kind of branding that emphasizes everybody's responsibility for, I assume, for reducing waste. So I like that idea, and I look forward to hearing more ideas as to how we can kind of newly brand ourselves and get the word out in the community that everybody has to do their part. Mr. Winia, do you have any more details on that at this point?
Not at this point. That was basically a CAC subcommittee driven thought, and I have personal ideas on it, but it hasn't been expounded upon beyond that. The general notion is exactly just as you had mentioned, to shift from sort of a former tagline to more of a demonstration of its necessity and urgency, more so than just a preferential and good to do thing.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, and thank you
Ms.
for your comment as
Githens?
well.
Yes, I had a question about the meeting for the final disposal facility subcommittee. In it, there was a recommendation to explore recreational and educational opportunity options for the closed landfill. I didn't know that was even a possibility, especially given all the monitoring that has to go on and just the physical layout of it.
I unfortunately do not have any more information than that because it's the one subcommittee that I was not a participant of. So I did note in the report, all of the detailed notes are on Dropbox, but I don't think there was any more content on that. Personally, I was pleased with the idea, but also I'm unfamiliar with the limitations or perhaps difficulties of achieving it. So I believe that will take place in the further discussions that are scheduled for that subcommittee as ideas are developed and refined for recommendation.
I can add a little bit to that. I attended that meeting and I have a little bit of familiarity with the landfill. So, there are possibilities. I mean, there are landfills across the country that there's closed landfills that have been turned into golf courses, ski slopes. I mean, so there are certainly options to do things at facilities like that. With regard to the monitoring stuff that we do, there may be some cost associated with putting up fencing or other means to limit access and to secure those areas, so that you don't have a risk of damage or contamination. But the rules certainly do allow for such things to occur within some parameters, and there are some options out there to do those types of things.
So we could turn the landfill into a money-making project.
Potentially. If you spend some money, you have to invest money to make money, right? So, but yeah, I mean, there are examples all across the country of a variety of recreational and educational activities that are occurring at closed landfills.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the board might remember from discussion quite a while back that we did explore with utility companies the possibility of using a portion of the landfill property for solar or wind energy production. And that did not come through because there was not interest by those utilities. But there may be in the future, so. Other comments from board members? Okay, thank you. We will move on to department reports with a big thank you to the CAC for their report.
Indeed,
Mr.
thank you.
McGlasson.
Yeah, just a few things to highlight off of the memo. At the bottom of the first page under the legislative update, House Bill 1437 and Senate Bill 369 that both address electronic participation in meetings are both moving forward, and in anticipation that that language that's in those two bills in some way, shape, or form will go get through to the governor's desk, which which could potentially impact the way that we conduct our meetings moving forward. And then that next one, Senate Bill 332, which addresses a public notice of our meetings, and the ability to to do meetings electronically, these second notices electronically when those are required, also is moving forward, and the belief is that that will make it to the governor's desk, which would be nice. That could potentially, not that those legal notices cost a lot of money, but save us a little money when in instances where we're required to publish notification of meetings or bids or other things twice. So, and then on page 2, under the education and outreach, just to point out to people, the 6th session of the virtual green business series is scheduled for April the 21st at noon. It's covering landscaping business grounds with native plants. If anybody that's interested can email sustain@bloomington.in.gov to register for that. And I believe for this go around of those virtual sessions, this is the last planned session at this time for those virtual green business sessions. And then lastly, we did the rain barrel and compost bin sale has concluded. Monday, April the 5th was the last day to place orders. And we did pretty good with our orders compared to last year. We sold 62 rain barrels and 59 compost bins this year. Still not numbers that we'd like, but better than last year, and we're pleased with the increase. And those are scheduled to be delivered next week and distributed to the purchasers on Saturday the 17th and Saturday the 24th. And if anybody that purchased one is unsure of their pickup date or location, they can certainly call us. Elisa has all of that information. Call 812-349-2020. Ask for Elisa Pocrawl, and she can get you the information that you need. That was all that I had to update. Happy to answer any questions.
Seeing no questions. Oh, Ms. Piedmont Smith, I see your hand.
So, Tom, did you say 62 rain barrels and 52 compost barrels were sold?
59.
59. And is that, we don't really make any money off that, right?
No.
No.
That's
It's just
a break even. It's a break even for us. It's just an opportunity to make those things available to residents at hopefully is a slightly discounted price from what might be retail at local vendors.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Other questions regarding Mr. McGlassen's report? Okay, let us move on then to Mr. Morgan's report.
I have gone through and compiled the last 5 years worth of data and looking at recycling, trash, and bulky items in my report. And it's worth noting that we were a little bit less than 2019. I'm curious as to see what 2021 annually measures up against 20 and 19. So it's too early to tell. But as you can see in my report, 2017 and 2016 were definitely better years. So draw what you would like from those numbers at this point. And then I just want to mention that yesterday we had a fantastic presentation from Curry Environmental Services. Scott Logan from Curry gave us a 45 to 50-minute presentation on radioactive materials that was really, really good. It was a PowerPoint on Zoom, and it was really, really good. So a lot of good information came out of that presentation.
So I'll ask Mr. Morgan, is there anything that you learned that should be included on our website or in other public education venues?
On respect to Curry Environmental,
Yes, yes.
no, we are covered exactly the way we should be at this point.
Good. Any other questions? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
I just want to make sure. So the figures for the last 5 years here in your chart, Mr. Morgan, those are tons.
Yes, those are tons, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further for Mr. Morgan? Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thank
We'll hear
you.
now from Mr. Lee Paulson.
Yeah, hey there. Let me pull up my page here. So yeah, Lee Paulson, landfill director, environmental compliance. Pretty much the past month has just been, our normal routine of things. I touched on a couple things within the report. Our leachate hauling numbers were up a little bit higher than we had hoped they would be, but we had a pump fail. The pump that draws water from the collection pond to the tank failed at like Saturday night at midnight. We couldn't get that replaced until Monday, and then reseeded on Tuesday. And when you're doing about 7 cycles a day at close to 24 to 30,000 gallons a day to go to zero, there's still that much water going in the pond and not enough water going out. So that's why those numbers are a little higher than we had hoped they would be. But currently we're almost back to where we were before that pump failed. So hopefully Monday, Tuesday next week will be kind of right about that same spot, roughly. So we're doing what we can. And the other thing was we've just had a crazy amount of reports. Our report numbers are going way up. Mary Beth is dealing with all the specific property reports, and I'm trying to do as much of the big bulky roadside cleanup stuff as possible just to keep up with it. I mean, that report, we had 43 reports for the month of March, and we've never had a month even close to that, short of Tom and I were talking that one year where we had all the dumping at Ord Road when the sites were closed for like the holidays that one time. And that was like in the 30s, but this is all like legit. And so far this month, it's not slowed down. So, so that's what we're spending all our time doing. So, and then other than that, I'm starting to prep for the May groundwater. I'm starting to test my equipment and making sure everything is running and prepared correctly. Just getting all my ducks in a row for that, because that'll be here before I know it. So that was it.
So thank you, Mr. Paulson. I know I've made a number of those reports to your office. That's because I'm driving rural roads. And for those of you who do see trash bags or something dumped along the side of the road, I hope you will call into the district so they can jump on it. Have we had any investigation of the dumpers based on the trash?
Some of them, it all depends upon what we can fish out of the trash. Some of them, there's a receipt or something with somebody's name or a piece of mail that we can at least send a harsh worded letter to, kind of thing like that. But some of these things, we can't determine that the person that's in that, we can't determine it's their trash that they specifically put it there. I mean, there's still a lot of small haulers. Trash falls off trucks pretty easily. So we try to report when we see multiple things in like one spot in a corner or something like that, to report to the health department, to, you know, I don't know how their policies go to remind them to remind their haulers to make sure their loads are covered and those kind of things like that to help prevent some of this stuff. And Mary Beth, she goes out on all the individual homes that we get reports about specific properties. It's just, I don't know what's different this year than the past. I mean, there's a lot more trash on the side of the roads, I will say that, more so than I've seen in my almost 9 years here. So, and that's not trying to be dramatic or nothing. There's a lot more trash on the roads. I would like to give a shout out to, we've got some volunteers that have my Adopt a Road and community cleanup kind of stuff like that. We've had a couple individuals that have the time and have really put forth a lot of extra cleaning up stuff. So between our normal cases and Adopt a Road and these community cleanups, we've been very, very busy. So thank you to all those community people that are taking their time and effort to clean up the roads.
So thank you. We want to see them clean up before the mowing crews are needed to get out there.
Yeah,
Mm.
yes,
Because the mowers then just spread the trash
right.
even further. Yes. Ms. Piedmont Smith.
Yes, I just wanted to ask about the year to date for Adopt a Road. So you reported that in March we had 13 cleanups, which is great. But then in the year to date, you list 5 cleanups. So are those the
Oh.
ones before March or?
Yeah, I guess I missed that. So it should be whatever's this month was plus 5, so it'd be 18. So
Okay.
there should be 18 total. And I count community cleanups as an Adopt a Road because I figure that's the same kind of, it's a volunteerism type thing. You know, it's not something that I'm picking up. It's not something that Mary Beth is picking up, but it's a individual or a group of volunteers that are taking care of that stuff.
So
Very
how is that different from Adopt a Road?
They don't have a specific road.
Oh.
So this is just a group of people that, some roads that people are choosing to clean up are not roads that we could have approved just because of safety reasons, but I'm not going to tell somebody they can't pick up trash close to where they live and they want to keep that part clean, but I will be happy to go to their house and pick up the full bag. So, but we've had several people that have worked really hard on from Fairfax Road to Old 37 and from Old 37 further on south. That is, there's a lot there, and it's already, even though they've done it, it's already starting to grow with trash again. So it's seemingly an endless stream of garbage.
Questions or comments for Mr. Paulson? I see none, so thank you, Mr. Paulson.
Ms. Munson, if I could, I want to bring to the board's attention the last page of the packet. I believe it was Ms. Piedmont Smith at the last meeting asked for some more information on the leachate generation and hauling. So we've provided all of that data from 2018 to current for your information review comparison.
Thank you very much. This is very helpful.
It is a costly operation to deal with the leachate. So I think this is a helpful report to have. So thank you, Mr. Paulson. Next, we have public comment on anything the public wishes to relay to us. Is there any public comment? Please raise your hand.
If there are no commenters, I would like to take the opportunity to ask a question. This is Joseph from the ZAC.
Yes, Joe, there are none.
Oh, good, thank you. Is the content provided in the final page that Mr. McGlasson just referenced public information, or is that for internal use only?
Well, it is
Oh, it's-
public.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, once it's in the packet, it's out there in the public. But, you know, we have that data going back much further, and if, you know, if there's, anybody has an interest in seeing that, they can certainly request that information.
Terrific, thank you.
Mhm. Anything else from the public? Then we'll have comments from any of the directors who wish to speak. Just raise your hand.
Just thanks for all the work you all are doing. I appreciate that. Always busy.
Always busy. So that's a thanks that should extend to all our staff. And I hope Mr. McGlasson will convey that to our employees.
Certainly.
Good. I just want to thank again the CAC for their work on the management plan update. I really appreciate having the documents available to look at in Dropbox. And thank you much for your work.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Is there anything else for our meeting today? If not, we will stand adjourned until our our meeting of the executive committee, and then our joint meeting with the CAC later this month.